It's amazing.
There's certain sound effects and music, and you might not like the game, but you just love the music. Like how I thought Ragnarok had better music than Elden Ring, really.
Yeah, I mean, I see Elden Ring put out a vinyl
Hmm.
for the soundtrack, which I'm super tempted to
Ooh,
buy
where is
because it's
that?
colored. It was on Steam. I haven't actually checked to see it. I can tell you right now though,
Elden Ring Final.
and it's a colored vinyl,
Ooh.
but it's like a gold. You know the color of Radigan's hammer on his chest. It's
Uh
that
huh.
kind of goldy gray. Now, I'm tempted to buy it because I didn't get the Dark Souls one, but I don't think the soundtrack's that good at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. So it's available on the Bandai Namco store.
Man, it's only $50. I wish my wife knew how to look for stuff like this. That way she
Is
could
that
get
all
it.
it is?
Yeah, on the Bandai Namco website is only $50.
Oh man, for that I might just buy it. Just for that.
Man,
Just that.
my wife
No way.
struggles so much buying me gifts, and I just wish she would if she could just look up stuff like Elden Ring and find stuff like that. I mean, I'd be like, hey, I have no problem if you spend $50 for that. We
It's a
try.
male thing. It's a male to male thing. That's what it is.
And we try to keep like $100 budget for our gifts. That way we can, have enough money. Though since we have a child now, we need to concentrate on. I keep telling her, I'm like, you don't need to buy me anything because I can just get stuff for myself throughout the year, and just concentrate on buying stuff for our child. But she's like, no, 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 I gotta get you something.
Yeah, I think you also feel bad in a way too, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's a weird because that's made to feel in a way.
Hmm.
Oh my God, they've got the Dark Souls 2 vinyl back in stock. No way.
Whoa. Man, now I gotta collect
Oh
those. Thanks.
man.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Well, you see, no, I've just even done myself like that. I'm gonna have no money left now. I'm buying all. I'm stocking up. Like I'm a vinyl collector, and I love this stuff.
um. So that was your
It's
number two,
amazing.
right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I guess we can kind of figure out what your number one is.
Cooking simulator.
Goat Simulator 3.
Yeah, it's not. It's totally not Elden Ring. Totally not that in
I
any
mean,
way, shape, or form.
heck, what else can we say about? I mean, well, there's a lot we can say about Elden Ring, but just to put it in a
There
brief
is.
summary, we've already talked about Elden Ring so many times on the podcast. I mean, yeah, it's just man,
I mean,
what can we talk about that we haven't talked about before about Elden Ring?
that's such a good question. Um, Truthfully, I missed the when Elden Ring came out on release before they added the purchasing of smithing stones from the merchants.
Hmm.
I actually preferred the original release of the game. If anything, that's one of my points.
Oh, really?
I actually took notes on. Yeah, because it just added a bit more of a aspect. I mean, I know I've used the merchants for like this SL1 practice thing that I kind of got sidetracked on. Um, but yeah, I just preferred the game when you actually had to go looking for the smithing stones in the
Yeah,
cave.
I agree.
It just added something to it that was magical. I
I,
don't know what it is.
I they need to add more value into replaying the dungeons and caves at the
Yes.
end. Whenever you kill a boss fight, you get smithing stones. I think they really need to do that instead of just giving merchants smithing stones because they need to give you better reasons to go through these caves. Because personally, I don't have a reason to go through these caves because they usually just give you like weapon arts or summons, which is stuff I don't typically use. And so the move other than just having fun, I would love to at least get some smithing stones out of my journey.
Oh yeah, and I 100% agree because I think isn't it the falling star beast? He drops a smithing stone seven or some
Yeah,
smithing
I
stone
think he
six or
drops
seven,
five of the
and then
smithing
he
stone
drops
seven.
yeah, then he drops five extra smithing stones on top of the somber. So I mean that was a cool incentive. That's one of the
Hmm.
few bosses that I like. But I mean yeah, what is it to say about Elden Ring?
I
Fantastic
mean,
narrative.
God, I mean, we could spend hours talking about Elden Ring alone. As I mean, unlimited
I
amount of
know.
hours.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean it's yeah, it's a tough one.
I mean, I guess. What would you? I mean, I know you mentioned keeping it the same with the smithing stones, but what else would you improve?
Um, Honestly, I think making some of the lower tier spirit summons a bit better. Like I feel like there was some cool opportunities with spirit summons that they just didn't capitalize on, like the tibia summons. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like they could have been better than what they are, especially the one, the three skeletons that do the sword attack together.
Uh-huh.
It's good, but it had so much potential, and it was kind of a letdown for the output. Just yeah, I feel like they missed a couple of opportunities that they could have done better in that aspect because a lot of people just spam Mimic Tear, Black Knight Tish, or Tish. What is it? Tish? However it's pronounced. That Black Knight Assassin. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel like they missed the capitalization point on that a little bit more.
Mm. Yeah, I'm still, of course I'm like, oh no, I'm not going to use spirit summons kind of perspective, but I think the only time I would ever use spirit summons is probably in that Coliseum, but unfortunately, the 3 versus 3 Coliseum match.
Yes.
But unfortunately, you don't get anything for your time. I mean, I understand having fun with it, but I'd like to at least get some kind of reward out of it, and you just don't get anything currently.
Yeah, I haven't even tried that out yet. I just when that came out, I was kind of taking my break from Elden Ring, before next
Yeah.
year for DLC, and then I got hooked on F1. That took a completely different turn, and Elden Ring's I uninstalled it. That's how much I'm playing at this point. It was just taking up space. Um,
Well, I guess was there anything else you want to say about? I didn't want to concentrate too much on Elden Ring because I feel like we could save other
no,
podcasts just to kind of really fill it up with Elden Ring talk, especially with the Volume 2 coming out soon. We're definitely going
yes,
to go through a
that'll be
ton of
exciting.
stuff. I mean, I don't know how long that podcast is going to be, but however long I can possibly do a podcast for, because I'm sure we're probably going to touch on every single boss. And
We might have to do. You'll have to come up with a series instead. Like with installments. There'll be that many things.
yeah.
It'll be like 2 months later, catching up on the podcast.
Hmm.
Yeah, but no, I haven't really got much else to say about Elden Ring.
I know it's really
On
hard.
its original.
It's really hard to hold back on Elden Ring. I understand.
It is. Do you know what? It's a very polished game.
Hmm.
It's for what it's not perfect, but it's
Yeah,
close.
definitely a lot of flaws.
So,
I told someone today. I actually told a couple people because they asked me because I like to post random stuff on Reddit whenever I get bored, um, and I posted on a From Software subreddit asking. I'm like, hey, I've been playing From Software games since 2010. Ask me anything, silly stuff like that. And so I got questions like, oh, what do you consider the best From Software game? I'm like, well, currently Elden Ring. And they're like, oh, well, I consider Sekiro the best one. I'm like, well, I mean, Sekiro is
yeah.
definitely the closest one to perfection in terms
Oh,
of
it really
quality,
is.
but it's not my favorite.
No, and that's the thing. Everybody's got their own preference, which is
Hmm.
a good thing. Because if we were all the same, it'd be very, very boring.
And then he asked
So,
me what was my least favorite one, which is a really hard one to answer. But I just told him, God, it's even hard for me to say now, but I would probably pick Sekiro because I just don't play it as much as the other ones.
I might. I'm probably gonna get shouted at for this now. Watch, you're gonna lose all your views from what I'm about to say. Dark Souls 3, I think, is actually at the bottom of my list now.
That one's a close one to Sekiro. Also, I mean, Dark Souls 3 has some of the best boss fights, in the lineup, but
Yeah,
I
that's
just don't
true.
like the level design.
No, and I just preferred Sekiro. I had so much fun with the game.
Hmm.
Just I have better memories on that game than I do on Dark Souls 3. So,
Okay.
and Dark Souls 2, well, Skull of the First Sin has definitely crept up on my list now as a favorite. I do it back every time to that game. I learn something new.
Yeah, and I mean, I can play. I don't know. For some reason, Dark Souls 3, when it comes to just going through the levels. I mean, I love the boss fights, like I said, but when it gets to the levels, I get discouraged going through them very easily because it's not. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously not because of the difficulty. It's just the bland level design. It just doesn't really work for. It just. I don't know. I don't know what Miyazaki was thinking when it came to the level design, but it's just really I don't know. I hate to say uninspired or bland, but it just doesn't work nowhere near as well as the quality that we have in the other ones.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I boosted it up the other day because I installed Windows 11 and I forgot Steam does not actually save your save to the cloud, like it says.
Hmm.
So I lost my saves, which sucks to be me. And I got all the way to Lothric Castle, and I just shut the game down. I got bored. I was like, nah,
Yeah.
this isn't compared to the other one, like Elden Ring,
Yeah.
Dark Souls 2. I know people are gonna go like, oh my god, you can't compare. It's like comparing apples and oranges. But I just typically enjoy Dark Souls 2 more.
Yeah,
You know, it's become a thing.
and Sekiro would probably hang around in the middle usually, but I
Yes.
don't know. Maybe Dark Souls 3 really is at the bottom. I just hate to put it there because I love the Nameless King so much. But I don't think maybe the bosses alone should save the game from being at the bottom. And same thing with Dark Souls 2 having the worst bosses, probably, but really good level design. So it's just, it's kind of got that unbalance, and maybe those two should belong at the bottom for those reasons because the other games are very well balanced in quality. So that's pretty much how you just kind of have to decide which ones you love and which ones you don't love as much. I mean, of course, I love all the games in many, for many different reasons, but there's definitely got to be some kind of scale, some kind of ranking for the games. Obviously, the Elden Ring's on the top of my list. There's Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Demon Souls. Then I would probably slap Sekiro there. Then Dark Souls 2 and Dark Souls 3. And that sounds so weird, but it's just there's just a balancing issue, and that's why.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, in a couple of years' time, you could appreciate, like I did, say Dark Souls 2 more than you it did originally, and it bumps it up slightly because you're like,
Hmm.
oh, okay, I fully, it clicks, and it's
Yeah,
like, oh, I understand this.
yeah.
So, I mean, with Dark Souls 2, every time I boot it up and I do a playthrough, I actually finish my playthrough going, okay, I had more fun this time, yet again.
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
So,
here we go talking about From Software games again. We need to.
do the best things on the planet, that's why.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just, it's what happened.
Believe me, everyone listening, you'll get plenty of Elden Ring From Software talk from us later on later podcasts. Just right now, I just really wanted to concentrate on 2022 stuff.
Yeah.